Hello, today we're going to be making a modified bar in bar type chart in Tableau Desktop 5.2. So the first thing we're going to need to do is connect to data. We're going to go to our Microsoft Excel and we're going to browse to our data sources. This is a subfolder under our Tableau repository directory tree. And we'll find the sample Superstore Excel that comes pre-installed with our desktop edition, and we'll click OK. Click OK again, and then in this case we want to create an extract. Usually we would, but for this demo we don't need it. So what I want to do here is I want to create an order. I want to look at things by order date, product category, and we'll look at the total sales. Great. So now what we want to do is try to make this a little more visual by going to the Show Me button, and we're going to turn it into a bar chart. Excellent. But this is really not exactly what I'm looking for. First off, I want to kind of flip it. I want to flip it on its side so the years run down the side and the sales run across the bottom. So I'm going to click on the swap button up here at the top, and this will swap axis for us. Very good. Okay, so we're starting to get a little bit closer, but what I'm really trying to do here is I'm trying to use as small a space as possible to display the data, tell the story with this data. So what I want to do is take the year and move it from the rows shelf down to the color shelf. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. But really what I want to do in this particular case is only compare the last 2 years of data. I'm really only interested in how we're doing this year compared to last year. So I'm going to control click over 2009 and 2010 on the year shelf. I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose keep only. Okay, so now I still have my 3 product categories, but I only have those 2 years. Well, the problem here is that this is what they call a stacked bar chart. So basically we have the total value for 1 year and then the total value for the second year stacked next to each other. So both years don't have the same, they don't both start at 0. One starts where the other left off. So in some cases this might be helpful if I wanted to see an aggregate or a sum of both years and how much I'd done over 2 years. But in this case I'm trying to compare year to year, apples to apples. So what I want to do is I want to come up here to Analysis, choose Stack Marks, and turn them off. Now you'll notice that our scale changed. It went down to 150K. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just undo that action. So you can see that when they're stacked next to each other, technology goes almost all the way up to 300K. When I unstack them, technology goes down almost by a little bit more than half. So that's good. I think we're actually getting close to what we want to see here. The problem is that they kind of overwhelm each other. So what I want to do now is I want to take the color, the year we have on the color shelf, and I'm going to control click and drag it down to size. So this is getting a little bit more interesting. Now what we have are 2 different bar charts stacked directly on top of each other, encoded with color and size. The problem here is that it's a little bit difficult to tell what's going on because of the colors. So I'm going to come in here, and before I change the colors, I want to change the order that they stack in. So right now if you look, you'll see that the red bar is the fattest one and the green bar is the narrowest one. Well, the fattest one is 2010 and the narrowest one is 2009. I really want that to flip around. I want 2009 to be my reference year, and I want to see where I'm at with 2010. So I'm just going to drag this above 2009, and that flips those two, it inverts them. So now I want to do something with color to make this a little bit easier to read. Red and green just doesn't work for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Edit Colors. And what I like to do is I like to come down to a continuous color scheme, like the blue color scheme. And for the reference color for 2009, I like to pick a light color, one lighter. And then for the year that I'm focusing on, 2010, I like to pick the darkest color available. Apply and OK. So I think we're getting there. This is good. I just want to show you one last little tweak that you could choose to do to this if you wanted to. Looking at this, some people might want to make the 2010 bar slightly bigger. It's relatively narrow here, and depending on what colors you pick, it might get lost. I'm not sure. So if you wanted to tweak that in any way, you could just come down to the year size shelf, click on the drop down arrow, and go to Edit Sizes. And this gives you a nice little menu. This is a little bit confusing, but what I found is if I just focus on the drag bar on the far left side, if I drag it towards smallest, the bar gets smaller. If I drag it towards largest, the bar gets larger. So let's just try a little bit here. So we'll make it much smaller, and it gets much narrower. Drag it all the way over here, and it gets quite a bit bigger. So really just find wherever it is that you're comfortable with. I kind of like it pretty close to where it was. And there you go. A stacked bar on bar chart. I think this is a good way to display this kind of data. It kind of tells a story. Kind of tells me where I'm at this year as opposed to last year. For instance, in furniture, I still have a little ways to go, but in office supplies, I've already exceeded last year's data with this year's data, last year's sales with this year's sales. So I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough, and if you have any questions, drop me an email.